Hey guys, how's everybody doing? As I said in my Saw 2 review, I was going to be half-assing it, and you will hopefully be getting this video after my Saw 2 video drops. Hopefully, you'll be watching this right after. Nonetheless, here are my thoughts on Saw 3. With my positives on Saw 3 is I really like the practical effects in this movie. Now, we got some practical effects in the other two movies, but we never really got to saw them. Saw 1 was pretty low budget, so we couldn't really get a lot of gore. And that one, excuse me, and Saw 2, we got some good effects in there, but they were never really explicit. But this is where it really gets explicit and really shows the carnage. That's what I love about Saw 3. Every time I think of Saw 3, I always think of that's where it began with the practical effects. That is where it began when it came to practical effects of the franchise. A lot of people, I've actually seen some people say that Saw, the first movie, is actually really gory and really explicit. I watch them like, what fucking movie did you watch? I think that Tobin Bell's performance as Jigsaw in this movie was really good, especially he's not really doing anything. He's just laying on a bed and kind of like getting sicker basically because he has cancer and he's dying still. And so this whole movie's where Amanda brings in this nurse to heal him and kind of fix him or cure him as she kind of puts it in this movie. And where John Kramer, he just sits there and Tobin Bell, he's just sitting there acting sick. And I feel he does a really good performance as the character where he's getting sicker, he's dying more, like freaking out, having like seizures, like that whole scene where they cut open his like scalp and shit. Like that was a really cool effect there. And like that whole scene where he's just lying there, you could see some expressions like actual expressions some people have of like I've seen some videos like doctors and shit do like videos on people who have like cancer and have like actual procedures that they have to do with them to like relieve their pain, I guess you could say, where she's drilling into his skull. And I hate thinking about that. Like how his acting there, I feel Tobin Bell gives one of the best performances as this character, and especially he's not even doing anything, especially with the acting between him and the person that plays Amanda in this movie. I forget her actress's name, but like the acting between those two where they keep bickering how Amanda's just like, you're gonna fix him because you don't know how to listen, and like how her acting and John Kramer kind of like bicker throughout this movie and shit, like a married couple is what I like to call it, because Amanda has this weird sexual tension with John in this movie. Like I love his performance in this movie. One of the best performances as the character, and up there with Saw 2 is the best performance. I really like the traps in this movie, like the chain one that we get in the movie, where the beginning of this movie really shows some really good traps in this movie, where you get this guy who has a bunch of chains all over him, and he has to like rip them out, and then you get Detective Carrie is her name? Is that her name? Yeah, Carrie. Where she's in like this weird thing where she has to put her hand in acid to get the key out because there's like things like locked into her ribs, but then which I'll get to later, where like where she couldn't unlock it and then the whole thing just like rips out her ribs and shit. Like that was a really cool effect there too. And then like I love these traps, and then you get to see with Jeff, who's our main character of this movie, where you get to see him, where he has to go through forgiveness and stuff like that, where this one girl is getting frozen to death, where she's getting water splashed on her and stuff, and then you get this like judge dude, where this was the only trap in this movie that just made me almost puke, not because it was like explicit and gory, it's because it was just fucking gross, is how bad it was, where he was getting fucking like a bunch of like dead pigs that were covered in maggots and shit, where they were getting cut up and then they were getting he was getting splashed with their guts, and it was like, oh, bro. It was not because it was gory or anything, because it was disgusting. That's the only trap in this movie I where it was like, ugh, it just messed with my hair. There we go. And the one trap that always sticks with me every time I think of this movie, even if I haven't seen this movie for years, I will always remember this trap. This is like a top three favorite trap for me, if I'm being honest. And that's the rack, where this guy, he is like in this trap where, and Jeff has to save him, but he takes his fucking time. and he has to save him, but at the far, but and then it's like twisting his arms and legs back, where it's like literally twisting him, like snapping off his bones to his fucking arms and legs, and then it starts with his neck, and then his neck is like literally just turned around. Like that trap was awesome, and that is one of the traps in this entire franchise where I will always picture it. It might even be my favorite Saw trap. I'm gonna say, because that is an awesome trap, and it's also really gory, and it's also very explicit, where you hear the bones crack. You even see some of the bones at some points. It's like, holy shit! I own an unrated version of this movie. I don't know if anybody else does, but the unrated version I have, it's like, holy shit, dude! It's like, please, more. I want a trap like that. Like, I want more traps like that in the franchise. Final positive for Saw 3 is I do like seeing like flashbacks with John and Amanda, where how what happened after she survived the reverse bear trap, how they first met, how they both came together to be partners in crime, I guess you could say, like how Amanda like John was at Amanda's apartment or house, it doesn't really say or show it. And then John's like, you were going to just basically sell your life to me. He basically talks like the devil in that one. So he's like, you will give me everything that you have. It's like she's not like your fucking, I don't know, apprentice. Technically she is. Scratch that. But I will say this. I am not a big prequel guy. I'm pretty sure I reviewed a few prequel movies, but I'm not a big prequel fan. I've never been a prequel guy. I've always said that it ruins the mystique of certain characters. It's given me answers that I never wanted. But to me, John Kramer, he is a character where I would be interested to see some flashbacks about him. They do that more in the franchise, and I'll talk about more about that when I review Saw 4, which hopefully will be out today. If not, it will be out tomorrow. But I like seeing those flashbacks with those two, because it kind of shows us what they were like together before they both have their fate in the end of this movie, where I really like that. It was a cool, they were pretty cool scenes, pretty enjoyable scenes. I never kind of questioned it, like, why are they putting this here? I never asked for this, but again, I didn't ask for it, but they gave it to me, and I'm like, you know what? They didn't ruin the mistake of the character. Moving on to my mixed aspects, and that is the main character, Jeff. Jeff is probably one of the most frustrating characters, period. Because he is so fucking slow. Look, I get it. He just lost his son. Well, I don't think he just lost him. He lost him a few years ago. But he lost his son. He's grieving his son's death. He's still getting over it. He wants to see everybody who was involved perish and go to jail or rot in hell while he cares. I get that. That is a horrible thing, and I imagine a lot of parents would be the same way, but he takes so fucking long. Like, I do like his character's, like, arc, where he has to try, instead of, like, he's not fighting for his life, he's fighting for his own forgiveness, where John Kramer Jigsaw is trying to make him forgive all these people who were responsible for his son's death, or could have helped get the man who killed his son into jail. And he tries to test him, as like, will you forgive them for what they did? Will you forgive them for their accident? Like the girl who's butt naked in the freezer getting water splashed on is like, will you forgive her for not being a witness at court and to help put this guy away? Will you forgive the judge who gave the guy only 6 months in prison instead of life? Are you going to forgive the man that killed your son? I like that about his character, but he just takes so long to kind of just get the point, and his anger overtakes him throughout the movie. He's a very angered character. I just can't really get behind his character much. This is my final mixed aspect, and that is killing off John Kramer, aka Jigsaw. Where I feel that was a great idea to do. I like that they did that. That this character can't live on forever. But to me, why it falls into my mixed aspects and why it's not a positive is because there's so many sequels, there are so many spin-offs with this character, and a bunch of apprentices where they've taken on the role of Jigsaw, to where it's like, okay, why did they even kill him if they're just gonna make more sequels? Why did they write some of this shit in this movie and then make more sequels without this guy? Beyond why, really. But I do think that was a good idea to do. Again, this character can't live on forever. But if you're just gonna kill him and then make more sequels, Don't kill him off at all. Now moving on to my negatives, and that my first negative is Amanda being kind of cuckoo, I guess I could put it, where she becomes like a full blown murderer, where she says that she becomes where she says she's not Jigsaw and she's like a downright murderer. Like that's an interesting aspect, but it's like, well, if you're gonna take on the role of Jigsaw, then why are you killing people? I do like the twist in this movie where it's just like, oh, I wasn't testing these guys. I was actually testing you because you keep putting people in traps that are unwinnable, and you're just a downright middle murderer because Jigsaw despises murderers. Yeah, totally not a murderer at all. Bullshit. Excuse me. But that's interesting for the character. But if you're gonna be taking on the role of Jigsaw, it's like you don't fit this part. I get it. That's the point, but I don't know. Every time I rewatch this movie, I'm like that. I can't. It bothers me for some reason. My final negative, and again, this is more just like a nitpick, and that is where Jeff saves the judge who sentenced the man who killed Jeff's son for only 6 months, and then he has to forgive him, and he's like that. He's in the pig trap that makes me almost throw up for how gross it is. But he saves him, which is a good thing, I guess. But if you're gonna save him and just have him get shot in the face with a shotgun later on in the movie, what the fuck was the point of saving him? He could have just let him die there because he was gonna die anyways. Like, what's the point? He's dead anyways. Why fucking save him when he's dead already? He survives his trap, but then he just dies from a shotgun blast to the face later on in this movie. What was the point? Again, that's more of a nitpick, but what was the point of saving him when he's just gonna die anyways? All in all, guys, I like Saw 3. It definitely has its issues, but I always really enjoy Saw 3. And when you think about it, it was kind of the last great Saw movie. Besides Spiral. But we'll get to that. But so, if you like the first two Saw movies, I definitely see you liking this movie. This movie does have its flaws, but you'll probably still enjoy it for being another good Saw sequel. So I would still recommend that you go out and buy Saw 3. What do you guys think of Saw 3? Have you seen it? What did you think about it? Did you like this sequel? Did you not like this sequel? Let me know in the comments below and we will talk about it. If you like this video, like it. If you love to subscribe, hit the bell notification so you will get notified for my latest videos. And of course, until my next video, I'll see you next time.